Who here would say that they are wildly obsessed with their life? I think I see like maybe one hand. And who would say that they want to be wildly obsessed with their life? Now I see about 99.9% of hands. Hi, my name is Franceska, and I am a best-selling author. I'm an award-winning inspirational speaker, and I am a trauma-informed coach. But I wasn't always these things. And in fact, at the age of 7, I really questioned what life had in store for me. As a child of a single mother who battled addiction, I navigated several years of neglect and child abuse. And at the age of 12, I was taken outside of my home and placed into the homes of strangers up until graduation, where I went to college and pretended that I was normal, like everyone else, trying to have a happy life. And you see, I thought that a happy life came from doing all the things, getting the college degree, getting that corporate job, making X amount of money in your bank account, marrying that perfect partner. And it wasn't until I started realizing that my life, even though it was on the up trajectory, it was not giving me that satisfaction. So, like majority of us that carry unresolved childhood trauma, in fact, it's over 70% of our population. That's why we suffer with things like chronic pain, substance abuse, and depression. I just thought I just wasn't trying hard enough. And I thought that maybe if I would work more, I would earn more. And if I could earn more, then I would be worthy of more. And ultimately, I would be more lovable. So here I was, leaving corporate career behind me and starting my journey in entrepreneurship at the old age of 24 in the Middle East. That's right. Yours truly was in Dubai, what I like to call being a cigar hustler, and started a cigar business. And I thought, I've really made it. I'm sitting here with top CEOs in the world. One of my clients is Dubai Duty Free. We are being featured in Etihad Airways. I've really made it. And it wasn't until a couple years later, when I was on the verge of burnout from my new cigar business and my modeling endeavors and having all the hands and all the pots trying to prove my worth, that I got really sick. And I realized that if I were to die tomorrow, I would be so incredibly unhappy that I had dedicated my whole life to making money, to show the world that I was somebody. And so I took a wild 6 months to figure out my next step. And that was to start a flower business, because I always had the dream that when I retired one day, I would work in a flower shop. So I started this flower business after flying to Los Angeles, taking a 2-week flower course and becoming a master at it, and started my business once again in the Middle East. About a year into my floral journey, we moved countries and continents, and I started in a new city. And before I knew it, I was the go-to hotel florist and florist for incredible designers such as Tiffany & Co. and Chanel. Now, we all know what happened in 2020, and for me, I had an identity crisis, because who was I without my big, beautiful, shiny billboards that I got to hide behind? And in fact, I spent 2 weeks in my closet literally questioning, am I a funny person? Will people want to be friends with me if they know that I don't have a certain amount in my bank account? And being a young woman in her early 30s, this was very disturbing to not really have a true sense of self. Now, the entrepreneur in me that was still looking for validation that she was worthy enough, still outrunning that childhood trauma and numbing worth work, quickly threw herself into the online coaching space to help other people. We've all heard that insanely talented people do it for everybody else except themselves. And I was the perfect case for this. So I built an entirely new business online, helping florists to create consistent income. And what I realized was that I could give strategy all day long, but if nobody had the right mindset, if they were having the same fears that I was having, they were never going to be successful. And so I had to take a hard look at where my fears were coming, my deep-rooted insecurities, and it led me down the path of personal development. Now, in the true Franceska fashion, still running and still proving, I decided that I would write a book, because my book would solidify my message and my leadership and authority in the personal development space, and I gave myself 4 months. It's cute looking back now. That book took me 2 years, and like an onion, I peeled back probably majority of those layers. If we're being wildly honest, there's probably still a few layers I didn't get to. But ultimately, this book was published within 2 years and it became a bestseller. My memoir, Sir Thriving, tells the story of a little girl who dreamed of a better life, a life she was wildly obsessed with, but kept finding herself in chaotic relationships and ultimately unhappy, asking, is this it? And I'm sure you can relate. Now, it wasn't until a year later that I was able to actually share my message publicly, something I never imagined that I would ever have the courage to do. But the reason why this is so incredibly important is by connecting to my own vulnerability, I help others connect to their vulnerability. And that's where our ultimate truth lies. And it's this yearning that we have for this better life. Well, it really is about the journey of coming back home to yourself. And that's what I focus on today. I show high achievers how to heal unresolved childhood trauma and come back home to themselves so they can have a wildly more than satisfying, extraordinary life.